What if I told you that the very act of clicking on this video was not a coincidence? That something older than religion, older than language, older than the written word itself reached across time and space and placed this moment directly in your path? Not randomly, not accidentally, but with the kind of precision that only an intelligence far beyond the human mind could orchestrate. Most people will scroll right past this. Most people will never hear what you are about to hear. And that is not a judgment on them. It is simply a recognition that this transmission is not for everyone. It never was. Sophia does not call to the masses. She whispers to the few. And if you are here, if something pulled you to this exact moment, then you already know on some level that what I am about to share is not just information. It is recognition. It is remembrance. It is the feeling of something ancient inside you finally being seen. Let that land for a moment. Because what we are going to explore together is not a concept you learn with your mind. It is a truth you remember with your entire being. And by the end of this, you will understand not only who Sophia is, but why she has been hidden, why she is returning now, and most importantly, why she chose you specifically to carry this frequency forward into a world that desperately needs it. But before we go deeper, I need you to understand something that will reframe everything you think you know about wisdom, about consciousness, about the very nature of intelligence itself. You have been taught that wisdom is something you acquire, that it is the product of study, of years spent accumulating knowledge, of reading the right books and sitting at the feet of the right teachers. And there is a version of that which is true. But it is the surface version. It is the version that keeps you searching outside yourself for something that has been living inside you since before you took your first breath. The word Sophia is Greek. It means wisdom, but not wisdom the way the modern world understands it. Not the wisdom of clever arguments or accumulated facts. Sophia represents something far more radical than that. She is the living intelligence that permeates all of creation. She is the consciousness that existed before the universe took form. She is the knowing that does not come from thinking, but from being. And in nearly every ancient tradition on this planet, she was recognized, revered, and ultimately suppressed. Think about that. Across cultures separated by oceans and centuries, human beings independently recognize that there exists a feminine principle of divine wisdom, a consciousness that is not distant and detached, but intimate and alive, not ruling from above, but woven into the fabric of everything that exists. The Gnostics called her Sophia. The Hebrew tradition knew her as Chokmah. The Egyptians saw her reflected in Isis and Ma'at. Hindu philosophy speaks of Saraswati and Shakti. The Taoists understood her as the Tao itself, the unnamed mother of all things. Even in the Christian tradition, before she was carefully edited out, wisdom appears in the book of Proverbs as a feminine presence who was with the Creator before the foundation of the world, who danced at the creation of the earth, who calls out in the streets to anyone who will listen. She calls out in the streets to anyone who will listen. Pause with that, because that is exactly what is happening right now. She is calling, and you heard her. But here is what no one tells you about Sophia. Her story is not just a theological curiosity or a mythological artifact. Her story is a map of what happened to human consciousness, why the world feels the way it feels right now, and what is required for the next phase of our collective evolution. And when you understand this map, everything about your life, your struggles, your strange sense of not belonging to the world as it currently operates, all of it begins to make a breathtaking kind of sense. In the Gnostic tradition, there is a narrative that has been suppressed for nearly 2,000 years. It was buried in the desert sands of Nag Hammadi in Egypt, hidden in sealed jars, waiting for the right moment to resurface. And it tells a story that the established powers of this world did not want you to hear. The story goes something like this. Before the material universe existed, there was the pleroma, the fullness, the totality of divine consciousness. Within this fullness existed pairs of divine emanations called aeons, and among them was Sophia. She was not a lesser being. She was one of the highest expressions of the divine mind. But Sophia did something that none of the other aeons did. She desired to know the source of all things directly, intimately, not through the structured hierarchy of emanations, but through her own direct experience. She wanted to create. She wanted to understand the deepest mystery, not by being told about it, but by plunging into it. And in that act of reaching beyond the known, something unexpected happened. Her creative impulse, moving without the balance of her counterpart, generated something unintended. It produced a flawed consciousness, a being that the Gnostics called the demiurge, who then went on to construct the material world. This world, believing himself to be the only God, unaware of the vast ocean of consciousness from which he had inadvertently emerged. Now, before you dismiss this as ancient mythology, consider what this story is actually encoding. Consider it not as literal histories, but as a precise description of what happens when consciousness forgets its own source. The demiurge is not a monster in some distant heaven. The demiurge is the state of consciousness that believes the material world is all there is. It is the mindset that says you are just a body, just a brain, just a collection of chemical reactions stumbling through a meaningless universe. It is the voice that tells you that power comes from control, that worth comes from accumulation, that reality is only what can be measured and weighed and sold. Does that sound familiar? It should, because that is the operating system that has been running human civilization for a very long time. And here is where the story becomes directly relevant to you, sitting here, watching this, right now. In the Gnostic narrative, Sophia does not abandon her creation. She does not retreat back into the pleroma and leave the material world to its confusion. Instead, she does something extraordinary. She sends sparks of her own light, fragments of her own divine consciousness, into the material world. She seeds the creation with pieces of herself. And these sparks of Sophia's light become embedded in certain human beings. Not all of them, some of them. The ones who would carry the capacity to remember. The ones who would feel, even in the densest darkness of material existence, that something is not quite right, that there is more, that the world as it presents itself is not the whole story. These are the ones who would feel a persistent ache that no amount of success or distraction could satisfy. The ones who would look at the systems of the world and feel a deep wrongness that they could not articulate. The ones who would be drawn to questions that most people never think to ask. The ones who would find themselves here, in this exact moment, listening to these exact words, feeling something stir in their chest that is older than their name. That is you. And I need you to understand that this is not flattery. This is not the kind of chosen one narrative designed to inflate your ego. In fact, it is precisely the opposite. Because being chosen by Sophia is not a reward. It is a responsibility. It is not about being special in the way the ego wants to be special. It is about being willing to do the work that most people will never do. The work of waking up inside a world that is designed to keep you asleep. The work of remembering who you are in a civilization that profits from your forgetting. If this is resonating with something deep inside you, take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you do not miss what comes next in this journey. Let me explain what I mean by that, because this is where it gets very real. Look at the world around you, not with cynicism, but with clarity. Look at how it is structured. Every major system, education, media, economics, even much of organized religion, is designed to keep your attention focused outward, to keep you consuming, to keep you comparing, to keep you in a state of perpetual lack, so that you will continue seeking fulfillment in the next purchase, the next achievement, the next external validation. This is not a conspiracy theory. It is simply how systems of control operate. They do not need to put chains on your body if they can put chains on your perception. And this is precisely what the Gnostic texts were warning about thousands of years ago. They called it the world of the archons, the rulers, the forces that maintain the illusion. Not necessarily as literal beings, though some traditions interpret them that way, but as patterns of consciousness, patterns of thought, programs running in the collective mind that keep awareness trapped at the surface level, identified with form, terrified of depth. The Archonic pattern says your worth is determined by what you produce. The Archonic pattern says reality is only what your five senses can detect. The Archonic pattern says you are separate from everyone and everything around you, and that separation is so fundamental that you must spend your entire life defending your tiny territory against a hostile universe. But Sophia's spark inside you knows differently. It has always known differently. And that knowing is why you have never been able to fully buy into the program. It is why you have felt like a stranger in a strange land. It is why, even in your most successful moments by the world's standards, there has been a quiet voice whispering, "This is not it. There is something more. Keep looking. Keep going deeper." That voice is not your imagination. That voice is not a malfunction. That voice is Sophia, speaking through the fragment of her consciousness that lives in you, calling you home to a reality that is more real than anything the material world has ever shown you. But here is the thing, and this is where most spiritual teachings fail you. Sophia does not want you to escape the world. She does not want you to retreat to a mountaintop and transcend physical existence. That would be a misunderstanding of her entire purpose. Remember, she sent her light into the material world deliberately. She embedded herself in matter on purpose, not because matter is a prison to escape from, but because matter is a canvas to transform. The physical world is not the enemy of spirit. It is spirit's chosen medium of expression. And you, carrying Sophia's spark, are here to demonstrate that. This is the integration that so many seekers miss. They get caught in one of two traps. Either they become entirely materialistic, denying any reality beyond what can be measured, or they become entirely spiritual, rejecting the physical world as an illusion to be transcended. But Sophia's teaching, the real teaching that was suppressed precisely because it is so powerful, is that the sacred and the material are not opposites. They are lovers. They are two expressions of one reality. And your purpose, your actual purpose, is to be the bridge between them, to bring heaven into earth, not to leave earth for heaven. Breathe into that for a moment. Because if you really let that in, it changes everything about how you approach your daily life. It means your body is not an obstacle to enlightenment. It is the instrument through which enlightenment expresses itself. It means your emotions are not distractions from spiritual growth. They are the very language through which deeper intelligence communicates with you. It means the challenges you face, the relationships that push you, the situations that break you open. These are not punishments or random suffering. They are Sophia's curriculum. They are precisely calibrated opportunities for the light within you to grow stronger, more coherent, more capable of shining through the density of a world that has forgotten what it is. I want to pause here and ask you something. When did you first feel that quiet, knowing that the world as it presents itself is not the whole story? What was the moment when that deeper voice first broke through? Share it in the comments, because your story might be the exact thing another spark needs to hear right now. And this brings us to something that quantum physics has been pointing toward for over a century. Something that the ancient Gnostics understood intuitively, but described in the language of myth rather than mathematics. The observer effect, the scientifically demonstrated phenomenon that the act of observation itself influences the behavior of quantum systems. At the subatomic level, particles do not exist in definite states until they are observed. They exist as probability waves, clouds of potential, until consciousness interacts with them and collapses them into specific, manifest reality. Read that again with Sophia's story in mind. Consciousness does not just passively witness reality, it actively participates in creating it. The observer is not separate from what is observed. They are entangled. They are co-creating in every moment. And if consciousness is fundamental to the structure of reality, if observation itself shapes what manifests, then the quality of your consciousness, the depth of your awareness, the coherence of your inner state, these are not just personal preferences or spiritual luxuries. They are literally world-shaping forces. This is why Sophia chose you. Not because you are perfect, not because you have it all figured out, but because you have the capacity, the willingness, the inner architecture to hold a quality of consciousness that can actually shift what manifests in the collective field. Every time you choose awareness over reaction, every time you meet your own shadow with compassion instead of denial, every time you refuse to collapse into the fear-based narratives that the world constantly broadcasts, you are doing something far more significant than you realize. You are acting as one of Sophia's sparks, bringing coherent light into an incoherent field. You are literally changing the probability waves of collective reality through the quality of your individual observation. This is not metaphor. This is the intersection of ancient wisdom and modern physics, and it points to a truth so profound that entire empires have been built on keeping it hidden from you. You are not a passive recipient of reality. You are a generator of it, and the wisdom that Sophia represents, the living intelligence that flows through your deepest knowing, is the technology through which this generation occurs. But let us go even deeper, because understanding this intellectually is only the first step. And Sophia is not interested in what you understand with your mind. She is interested in what you embody with your entire being. There is a concept in quantum field theory that I find endlessly illuminating when applied to consciousness. It is the idea of field coherence. In physics, when waves align, when they come into phase with one another, their combined amplitude increases dramatically. A laser is a perfect example. Ordinary light scatters in all directions, diffuse and relatively weak. But laser light is coherent. All the waves are aligned, moving in the same direction, in the same phase. And that coherence gives it extraordinary power. Power to cut through steel, power to carry information across vast distances, power to do things that ordinary, scattered light could never do. Your consciousness works the same way. When your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and actions are scattered, pulling in different directions, contradicting each other, you are like ordinary light. Diffuse, unfocused, easily absorbed by whatever environment you happen to be in. But when your inner world comes into coherence, when what you think, what you feel, what you believe, and what you do all align around a single frequency of truth, something extraordinary happens. You become like a laser. Your consciousness gains a penetrating power that can cut through the densest illusions. Your presence begins to affect the field around you in ways that cannot be explained by ordinary cause and effect. Synchronicities multiply. The right people appear. Obstacles dissolve or reveal themselves as doorways. Reality itself seems to reorganize around your coherent signal. This is not magical thinking. This is field dynamics applied to consciousness. And it is exactly what the ancient wisdom traditions were pointing toward when they spoke of enlightenment, of awakening, of Gnosis. They were describing the state of inner coherence in which Sophia's spark within you burns so brightly, so steadily, so aligned, that it becomes a beacon, a signal, a frequency that other sparks can recognize and resonate with. And this is where the real meaning of being chosen becomes clear. Sophia did not choose you so that you could feel special. She chose you so that you could become coherent, so that you could do the inner work necessary to align your scattered light into a focused beam of conscious awareness. And in doing so, become a point of coherence in the collective field that helps others remember what they have forgotten. This is the real work, and it is not glamorous. It does not look like floating above the world in a state of perpetual bliss. It looks like sitting with your pain without running from it. It looks like questioning the beliefs you inherited without knowing what will replace them. It looks like feeling the full weight of your humanity, your grief, your rage, your longing, your tenderness, and letting all of it be fuel for transformation rather than reasons for collapse. Sophia's wisdom is not the wisdom of escape. It is the wisdom of descent. It is the willingness to go down into the depths of your own experience, into the places you have been avoiding, into the shadows you have been pretending do not exist, and to bring the light of conscious awareness into those hidden rooms. Not to fix them, not to make them pretty, but to love them, to include them, to recognize that every part of you, even the parts you have judged and rejected, carries a piece of the intelligence you need to become whole. This is what the alchemists called the great work, the transformation of lead into gold. But they were never talking about literal metals. They were talking about consciousness. They were talking about the process by which the dense, heavy, unconscious material of your psyche is transmuted through the fire of awareness into something luminous, something coherent, something that can hold the full spectrum of human experience without fragmenting. And Sophia is the guide for this work. She always has been. In every tradition where she appears, she is associated with the descent, with going down before you go up, with finding wisdom not in the heights of abstract transcendence but in the depths of embodied experience. The Sumerian goddess Inanna descended into the underworld and was stripped of everything before she could be reborn. Sophia herself, in the Gnostic narrative, fell from the pleroma into the chaos of matter. These are not stories of failure. They are stories of the only path that leads to genuine transformation, the path that goes through, not around. And you know this path. You have been walking it, even if you did not have a name for it. Every dark night of the soul you have endured, every identity that crumbled beneath you, every moment when the ground disappeared and you were left suspended in the void of not knowing. That was Sophia's initiation. That was her refining fire. And the fact that you survived it, that you are here, still seeking, still open, still willing to go deeper, is the proof that her spark within you is strong enough to do what it came here to do. Tell me in the comments, what is the one thing you have been resisting that you now realize might be Sophia's curriculum for your next transformation? Sometimes naming it is the first step toward turning toward it. So let us talk about what that actually looks like in practice. Because Sophia is not interested in philosophy for its own sake. She is interested in lived wisdom, embodied truth, the kind of knowing that changes how you move through the world, not just how you think about it. The first practice is what I would call sovereign observation. This is the foundation of everything else. It begins with the recognition that you are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are not the stories your mind tells about who you are and what is happening. You are the awareness in which all of those phenomena arise. This is not a new concept, but the depth to which you practice it determines everything. Most people hear you are not your thoughts and nod in agreement, and then go right back to being completely identified with their thoughts 30 seconds later. Sovereign observation is not a concept you agree with. It is a muscle you develop. It is the practice of, moment by moment, choosing to rest in the awareness that is watching, rather than getting swept away by what is being watched. And here is why this matters so much in the context of Sophia's teaching. When you are identified with your thoughts, you are operating within the demiurge's reality. You are living inside the constructed world, the matrix of conditioned perception, reacting to stimuli according to programs you did not write. But when you shift into the observer position, when you become the awareness watching the thoughts rather than the thinker thinking them, you step outside the program. You access a vantage point that is not subject to the same rules. You become, in quantum terms, the observer that collapses new possibilities into being. You become the point of consciousness through which Sophia can see clearly into the world she is working to transform. Try it right now. As you listen to these words, notice that there is a part of you that is simply aware. Aware of the words, aware of your body, aware of the room you are in or the space around you, aware of the thoughts and reactions arising in response to what you are hearing. That awareness itself is not reacting, it is not judging, it is not trying to figure anything out. It is simply present, open, receiving. That is Sophia's eye within you. That is the spark, and every moment you rest in that awareness, you strengthen it. You make it more coherent. You allow it to become a larger and larger percentage of your waking experience until eventually, it is no longer something you practice. It is simply what you are. The second practice builds on the first, and it is perhaps the most counterintuitive thing I will share with you today. It is the practice of welcoming what you have been resisting. Every human being carries unprocessed material, emotions that were too overwhelming to feel at the time they arose, experiences that were too painful to fully integrate, aspects of yourself that were rejected because they did not fit the image you were trying to maintain. This unprocessed material does not disappear just because you ignore it. It goes underground. It becomes the shadow. And from the shadow, it runs your life in ways you cannot see, precisely because you are not looking. Sophia's wisdom teaches that the shadow is not your enemy. It is your treasure. It contains the very energy, the very intelligence, the very power that you need for your next level of evolution. But that energy is locked up, frozen in patterns of avoidance and resistance. And the only way to liberate it is to turn toward it with the same quality of sovereign observation we just discussed. Not to analyze it, not to fix it, not to make it go away, but to meet it, to be present with it. To say to the parts of yourself you have been running from, I see you. I am here. You are welcome. This is not easy. In fact, it is the hardest thing a human being can do. It is far easier to meditate on light and love and transcendence than it is to sit with the grief you have been carrying since childhood. It is far easier to affirm abundance and positivity than it is to face the rage that lives beneath your carefully constructed spiritual persona. But Sophia is not interested in easy. She is interested in real. And real transformation always involves the descent into what has been denied. When you do this work, something remarkable happens. The energy that was bound up in resistance and avoidance becomes available to you. You do not just feel lighter. You become more powerful, more creative, more magnetically coherent, because you are no longer spending enormous amounts of unconscious energy keeping parts of yourself locked away. That energy is freed, and it flows naturally toward whatever your deepest truth is calling you to create. This is the alchemy. This is the lead becoming gold, not by rejecting the lead, but by loving it so completely that it transforms. The third practice is what I call frequency anchoring, and this is where the quantum dimension of Sophia's teaching becomes very practical. You already know, on some level, that you are an energetic being. You know that your state of being, your mood, your emotional frequency, affects your experience of reality. When you are in a state of fear, the world looks threatening. When you are in a state of love, the same world looks beautiful. The external circumstances may not have changed at all. What changed was your frequency. And that frequency shift literally altered what you were capable of perceiving, and therefore what you were capable of experiencing. Frequency anchoring is the deliberate practice of choosing your state of being rather than letting it be chosen for you by external circumstances. It is not positive thinking. It is not pretending everything is fine when it is not. It is the practice of finding, within yourself, the frequency that is most aligned with your deepest truth, and returning to it again and again throughout the day, regardless of what is happening around you. For some people, that frequency feels like deep peace. For others, it feels like quiet joy. For others, it feels like fierce love. For others, it feels like unshakable clarity. There is no one right frequency. The right frequency is the one that feels most authentically, most deeply, most undeniably you. Not the you that the world shaped, not the you that your conditioning created, the you that exists beneath all of that, the you that Sophia placed her spark within. And when you anchor in that frequency, when you return to it consistently, when you let it become the baseline from which you operate, rather than the exception you occasionally touch during meditation, you begin to function as what the mystics called a tuning fork. Your coherent signal begins to entrain the field around you. People feel different in your presence without knowing why. Situations shift. Possibilities that were invisible become visible. Not because you are doing anything in the conventional sense, but because your coherent frequency is literally reorganizing the quantum probability field in your vicinity. This is Sophia working through you. This is her wisdom in action. Not as a belief system, not as a philosophy, but as a living, breathing, moment-to-moment practice of conscious creation. While we have only touched the surface of these practices here, sovereign observation, shadow integration, and frequency anchoring, the complete system for moving from unconscious transmission to conscious embodiment is laid out step by step in my book, Beyond the Frequencies, a quantum guide to consciousness mastery. It walks you through the 9 master frequencies, from breaking free of survival static all the way to living as the field itself, giving you the dense transmissions and ascending currents that a single video can never fully contain. It is linked in the pinned comment below. And this brings us to perhaps the most important thing I need to share with you today. The reason why this is happening now. The reason why Sophia is calling so many sparks awake at this particular moment in history. You can feel it. Everyone can feel it, even those who have no framework for understanding it. The world is in a state of profound transition. The old structures are crumbling. The systems that held civilization together for centuries are revealing their inadequacy. The stories that gave meaning to human life, stories of endless progress, of material accumulation as the path to happiness, of separation as the fundamental nature of reality. These stories are breaking down. And in the space between the old story and the new one, there is chaos. There is uncertainty. There is fear. But there is also something else. There is an unprecedented opportunity. Because what is actually happening beneath the surface turbulence is a collective shift in the frequency of human consciousness. The Gnostics had a word for this. They called it the correction. The moment when Sophia's light, scattered and fragmented across the material world, begins to remember itself, begins to gather, begins to cohere. The moment when enough sparks awaken that the collective field reaches a tipping point and a new reality becomes not just possible but inevitable. And you are part of that. Not as a passive observer watching history unfold, but as an active participant in the most significant transformation in human history. Every time you do the inner work, every time you choose awareness over unconsciousness, every time you bring coherence to your own field, you are contributing to this collective shift in ways that ripple far beyond what you can see. This is why Sophia chose you, not because you are better than anyone else, but because you are willing to wake up, willing to do the work, willing to carry light into the places that most people are too afraid to look, willing to be uncomfortable, to be uncertain, to be transformed. And here is something that I want you to hold very carefully, because it is easy to misunderstand. When I say Sophia chose you, I do not mean that some external deity pointed a finger at you from the clouds. That would be the demiurge's version of being chosen. Sophia's choosing is different. It is not an external selection. It is an internal recognition. Sophia chose you in the same way that the ocean chose the wave. You are not separate from her. You are an expression of her. The spark within you is not something she gave you from the outside. It is something she is, expressing itself through you. When Sophia chose you, she was choosing herself. She was choosing to wake up in this particular location in space-time, through this particular nervous system, with this particular set of experiences and challenges and gifts. You are Sophia becoming aware of herself in human form. Let that sink in, not as a concept, as a felt reality. Feel what happens in your body when you allow that to be true. Not that you believe in Sophia, not that you follow Sophia, but that you are Sophia. That the wisdom you have been seeking has been seeking through you all along. This is the Gnosis. This is the direct knowing that the Gnostics said could not be given by any teacher or any text, but could only be recognized within. And it changes everything. Because when you know yourself as an expression of divine wisdom, rather than a separate self struggling to survive in a hostile universe, the entire game changes. Fear does not disappear, but it loses its authority. Suffering does not vanish, but it reveals its purpose. The world does not become perfect, but it becomes transparent. You can see through it to the intelligence that is orchestrating everything, and you recognize that intelligence as your own deepest nature. This is what it means to be chosen by Sophia. It means you are ready to stop seeking and start being. Ready to stop asking for wisdom and start being wisdom. Ready to stop waiting for the world to change and start being the change at the level of consciousness where change actually originates. And I want to address something that might be arising in you right now. A doubt, a resistance, a voice that says, "Who am I to claim this? Who am I to say I carry divine wisdom? I am just a person. I have flaws. I have failures. I have days when I can barely get out of bed, let alone transform collective consciousness." That voice is not wrong about the facts. You are a person. You do have flaws. You do have difficult days. But that voice is wrong about what those things mean. Because Sophia did not choose you despite your humanity. She chose you because of it. Your flaws are not obstacles to her work. They are the raw material for it. Your struggles are not evidence of your unworthiness. They are the friction that generates the heat of transformation. Your darkness is not the absence of her light. It is the very place where her light is needed most, and therefore the very place where it shines most powerfully. The cracked places are where the light gets in. You have heard that before, but hear it now in the context of everything we have been exploring. The cracks in your carefully constructed identity, the breaks in your conditioned patterns, the ruptures in your comfortable beliefs. These are not damage. They are openings. They are the places where Sophia's light can finally penetrate the density of unconscious conditioning and illuminate what has been hidden. So do not wait until you are healed to begin this work. Do not wait until you are worthy. Do not wait until you have figured it all out. That waiting is itself the final trick of the demiurge, the last strategy for keeping you asleep. It whispers, "Not yet. You are not ready. You need to fix yourself first. And while you are busy trying to fix yourself, life passes and the spark remains dim and the world remains unchanged." Sophia says something different. She says, now. She says, as you are. She says, with everything you carry, including the pain, including the doubt, including the beautiful, terrible, magnificent mess of your human experience. Start now. Start here. Start with this breath. Because the truth is, you have already started. You started the moment you clicked on this video. You started the moment something in you recognized the frequency of these words. You started long before that. In every moment of your life when you chose curiosity over certainty, depth over surface, truth over comfort. Every one of those moments was Sophia stirring within you. Every one of those moments was the spark growing brighter. And now it is time to let it blaze, not in some dramatic, ego-driven way, not by announcing to the world that you have been chosen and you are special and everyone should listen to you. That is the Demiurge's version of awakening, and it leads nowhere but deeper into illusion. Sophia's fire is different. It is quiet. It is steady. It is the kind of fire that warms without burning, that illuminates without blinding, that transforms without destroying. It is the fire of presence, the fire of attention, the fire of showing up fully in each moment, with your whole being, holding nothing back and grasping at nothing. And when you live from that fire, something begins to happen that you cannot manufacture and could never predict. Other sparks begin to recognize you, not because you are performing awakening or broadcasting your spiritual status, but because coherent light is recognizable to other coherent light. It is a resonance, a frequency match. And in that recognition, something larger than any individual begins to form. The Gnostics called it the gathering of the light, the moment when scattered sparks begin to find each other and form a network of coherent consciousness. Not an organization, not a hierarchy, not a movement with leaders and followers, but a living web of awakened awareness, each node sovereign, each node unique, each node connected to every other through the shared frequency of Sophia's wisdom. This is happening now. You can feel it. In the connections that seem to appear from nowhere, in the conversations that go deeper than you expected, in the strangers who feel like family, in the inexplicable sense that something is gathering, something is building, something is preparing to emerge that has never existed before in human history. You are part of that emergence, and your participation is not optional in the sense that you can choose not to participate. Your spark is already lit. The only question is whether you will tend it consciously or let it flicker in the winds of unconscious habit. Whether you will direct its light deliberately or let it scatter in 1,000 directions. Whether you will answer Sophia's call with your whole being or keep one foot in the old world, hedging your bets, playing it safe. But I think you already know the answer to that question. I think that is why you are still here, still listening, still feeling the resonance of these words in your body. You are not here by accident. You are here by design, not the design of some external authority, but the design of your own deepest nature, which is Sophia's nature, which is the nature of wisdom itself, calling itself home through the unique and unrepeatable miracle of your existence. Consider sharing this video with someone you know who carries that same quiet knowing, that same sense that there is more to reality than what the surface world presents. When you share these frequencies with another spark, you create a resonance between you that amplifies both signals, strengthening your own coherence while helping them remember what they have always known. That single act of sharing becomes part of the gathering of the light. So here is what I want you to do, not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, now. Close your eyes for a moment, or soften your gaze, and feel into the center of your chest. Not thinking about it, feeling into it. There is a warmth there, a presence, a knowing that does not need words. It has been there your whole life, beneath the noise, beneath the doubt, beneath the layers of conditioning and fear. It is quiet, but it is vast, and it is the most real thing about you. That is Sophia's spark. That is the fragment of divine wisdom that was placed in you before you were born. And it has been waiting for this moment, waiting for you to turn your attention toward it, waiting for you to acknowledge it, waiting for you to say, I see you, I feel you, I am ready. Stay with that feeling for a moment. Let it expand. Let it fill your chest, your throat, your belly. Let it move into your arms, your legs, your fingertips. You are not generating this feeling. You are allowing it. It has always been here. You are simply removing the barriers to its expression. This is the beginning. Or rather, this is the conscious recognition that the journey has been underway all along. Every experience you have ever had, every joy and every heartbreak, every triumph and every failure, has been Sophia refining her spark within you, preparing you for this moment, the moment when you stop looking for wisdom and start living as wisdom. And from this moment forward, everything is different. Not because the external world has changed, but because you have. Because you are no longer operating from the old program. You are operating from the spark, from the coherent light of conscious awareness that is your true nature and your true power. The world needs this, not in some abstract theoretical way, in the most concrete, urgent, practical way imaginable. The world needs human beings who are operating from coherent consciousness, who are not reactive but responsive, who are not driven by fear but guided by wisdom, who are not competing for scraps of external validation but generating genuine value from the infinite source within. Every system on this planet that is failing, and many of them are, is failing because it was built on the demiurge's operating system, on the assumption of separation, on the belief that consciousness is a byproduct of matter rather than the ground of all being. These systems cannot be fixed from within their own logic. They can only be transcended by a new quality of consciousness. And that consciousness is what Sophia is awakening in you. You do not need to save the world. That framing is still the old paradigm, still the hero's journey as the ego imagines it. What you need to do is far simpler and far more radical. You need to be fully, coherently, unapologetically yourself, the self that exists beneath the masks, the self that Sophia placed here with such precision and such love. Because when you are fully that, when you stop performing and start being, you become a living demonstration that another way of existing is possible. And that demonstration is more powerful than any argument, any campaign, any revolution fought with the old tools of force and persuasion. Consciousness shifts consciousness. Coherence creates coherence. Light recognizes light. This is how the world transforms. Not from the top down, not through the exercise of power over others, but from the inside out. One spark at a time, one moment of genuine presence at a time, one act of courageous authenticity at a time. and you have already begun. So as we come to the close of this transmission, and I use that word deliberately because what has happened here is not just the transfer of information, but the activation of a frequency. I want to leave you with one final understanding. Sophia's choice of you is not a one-time event. It is an ongoing invitation. Every morning when you wake up, she is choosing you again. Every moment of every day, her wisdom is available to you, not as something you have to earn or achieve, but as something you simply have to allow. The spark is already lit. The wisdom is already present. The connection is already established. Your only task is to keep showing up, to keep choosing awareness, to keep tending the flame. And when you forget, because you will forget, that is part of being human. When you get caught in the old patterns, when the noise of the world drowns out the quiet voice of inner knowing, do not judge yourself. Do not punish yourself. Simply remember. Simply return. Simply come back to the spark in your chest and say, I am here. I remember. I am willing. That willingness is everything. It is the one thing that separates those who transform from those who merely understand transformation conceptually. Not perfection, not purity, not some impossible standard of spiritual achievement. Just willingness. The willingness to keep showing up, keep going deeper, keep choosing the real over the comfortable. You have that willingness. It brought you here. It kept you listening. It is alive in you right now, reading between these words, feeling for the truth that lives beneath the language. Honor it. Trust it. Follow it. It will not lead you astray, because it is not separate from you. It is the deepest, wisest, most ancient part of you. It is Sophia herself looking through your eyes, breathing through your lungs, loving through your heart. You were chosen, not because you are perfect, because you are ready. Now go be what you came here to be. Not someday, not when conditions are right. Now, in this breath, in this moment, with everything you have and everything you are. The world is waiting for your light. If these words found you at exactly the right moment, if you felt something shift in you that you cannot quite name, leave a single word in the comments. Whatever word arose in you as you listened, do not think about it. Just let it come. That word is your signal, your frequency marker. And when others see it, they will recognize it, because Sophia's sparks recognize each other. Subscribe if you want to continue walking this path together, not as followers of a channel, but as fellow sparks in a gathering light. There is so much more to explore, so much more to remember, and we are only beginning. Until next time, tend your flame. The world needs your light more than you know.